Star Trek and its fans are having a moment. Except those last three, they weren't written about Starfleet Academy. They were written about the next generation. To put it mildly, the release of Starfleet Academy has proven to be deeply divisive in the fanbase. Search for the show on YouTube and you would believe that it's an unmitigated disaster. Video after video declares it to be the worst thing that has ever happened to Star Trek, that it's not real Star Trek, and that the franchise is deader than an unnamed crew member selected for an away mission with the main cast.
Ah, crap.
And looking on Rotten Tomatoes doesn't help either. While critics are overwhelmingly positive, the audience reviews, not so much. And across social media, whilst plenty of fans are celebrating it, praising its story, its cast, and what it represents, others complain about canon being broken, poor writing, and call it Trek in name only. So, what's really going on here? Are we witnessing the death of Star Trek, or is this something else? Something we've seen before? Something far more predictable and perhaps a little more calculated? Because this isn't new. This has happened before. Again, and again, and again, and again. Star Trek The Next Generation is one of the most beloved entries in the entire franchise, seen as the gold standard by many fans, and yet, when it was released, some Star Trek fans reacted like this.
It's fine that Paramount intends to do another science fiction series, but please, just don't call it Star Trek.
It's like tuning in to watch the corpse of a much-loved friend decay, and it gets ranker each week. It seems to say that logic is no longer relevant.
I'll shift out of sarcasm mode now. This series is so bad that only a direct attack can even approximate to truth.
There were some who hated the very existence of The Next Generation. A bald British captain could never live up to Kirk. A Klingon serving on the bridge was seen as an affront. And Riker, well, he was described as namby-pamby, and Troy, well, she was also dismissed as not very good and subject to some deeply sexist abuse. And this didn't stop with The Next Generation. Deep Space Nine was accused of not being real Star Trek because it was based on a space station, boldly going nowhere. It was dismissed as a soap opera and accused of straying from Star Trek's values with the Dominion War. Voyager's cast was too diverse with its female captain, Native American first officer, and a black Vulcan. And Enterprise? Well, Enterprise had that theme tune. If we've heard this all before, why are we hearing it again? Because this isn't just about Star Trek. We've seen this happen with Star Wars, with Marvel, with almost every long-running franchise you can think of. This is about nostalgia, identity, and our relationship with change. Here's something important to consider. Whilst there is a vast difference in the actions between the side of a fandom that celebrates Jet Reno and Laura Thok being a couple, and the side that accuses the show of going woke and subjecting people to racist and sexist abuse, the psychological processes between the actions of these two groups is quite similar. And what I mean by that is that what's driving these two groups is a basic human need. The need for identity or the need for belonging. Let me explain a little bit more. Growing up, Star Trek for me was a huge part of my life. I remember watching it every Wednesday on BBC Two here in the UK. I remember going to see Star Trek Generations, the very first Star Trek movie I would see in the cinema. I remember reading books, collecting magazines, and it was from Star Trek that I felt that I learned important life lessons, about teamwork and curiosity and seeing past our differences, about accepting each other for who, not what we are, whilst also still celebrating our uniqueness. Star Trek wasn't just entertainment, it felt like a core part of who I am, and something I know that many of you watching this video have felt as well. And when something becomes a part of your identity, you become emotionally invested in it and may even see it as an extension of yourself. And when a new version of something you love arrives, you tend to compare it to the memory of your first love. And we all forget that memory is not objective, it's selective. In our heads, we have an idealized versions of what we loved. Time makes us more forgiving of its flaws. Not every episode of The Next Generation was Darmok, the Inner Light, or the best of both worlds. Voyager was wildly inconsistent across its run. And Deep Space Nine deeply divided the fan base. Today, we look back fondly on those series and remember the good while smoothing out their flaws. Even if those flaws involve sexy ghost candles, lizard babies, or Alan Moraine. Something more powerful also happens when you become emotionally invested. When you see that thing as part of who you are, you want it to stay the same, to remain constant. So when that thing changes, it can feel like it has been taken away from you, or that you're losing a part of yourself. I mean, that's not the case at all, but it can feel that way. We instinctively prefer things to stay the same as they are, not necessarily because they're better, but because they're familiar. And this feels safe compared to uncertainty, which makes us feel uncomfortable. These are the things that are a core tenet of nostalgia and identity. We crave familiarity, especially if things are a part of our identity. All of this is to say that seeking that familiarity and shunning something new doesn't make you a bad person. It's natural to feel that way when you're confronted with change. It's how we respond to change that matters. Now, those quotes that you heard earlier on, do you know how hard it was to find some of the opinions that I shared with you? When The Next Generation premiered in 1987, the internet was 6 or 7 years away from public use. If someone wanted to share negative views, they were limited to either writing to fanzines or talking about them in person at conventions, reaching maybe a few hundred people, most. Negative opinions existed, but they did not dominate the conversation. Fast forward to now, and the internet has completely changed that. The internet allows everyone to have a platform to share their own opinion on everything and connect with others who share their views. And this was fine in the early days of the internet. Forums would be full of arguments, but they were mostly kept within those spaces. But this all changed when algorithms not only started amplifying outrage, started rewarding them. Social media platforms such as YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok reward engagement, and engagement is driven by emotion. Strong emotions.
Fear, anger, hatred.
Outrage makes people click, comment, and share. And every interaction on outrage, even decrying it, teaches the algorithm that this is what people want to see, so it gets pushed out more. And we end up in a feedback loop where people say something to promote outrage. People react to that outrage. More people are shown that outrage. More outrage is created, and rinse and repeat. What that means, though, is that outrage is not necessarily representative of an entire fan base. It's just more effective. Nuance and balance are sacrificed because saying this show has some strengths and some weaknesses does not travel as far as Star Trek is dead. And because of the way that platforms monetize content through engagement rather than through quality, outrage becomes profitable.
So is this all like an evolutionary issue where we remember, like anger is something that is triggered before, sort of joy, pleasure, things like that?
Yeah, so this is the easiest emotion to attack because fear and anger are the easiest to approach. So very often if somebody posts something that activates those things, that's the first time you want to feel like you have to say something. It's a compulsion almost. It's like most of social media is a compulsion. We don't have to post. It's something that we do because we want to share our voices, and the opportunity is there. But when somebody posts something that angers you, you almost feel like you have to right the wrong. And so that's a tactic. It's tactical media, and that type of tactical media gets people to stay on that platform and just keep on doing it.
We stop analyzing and discussing and just start shouting at each other. And this has consequences. Look, go search for Starfleet Academy on YouTube. I'll wait here. You back? Did you see? Like, all you see is worst Star Trek ever. Star Trek is dead. Or Paramount has destroyed the franchise. Imagine you haven't watched a single episode yet, and you go online to research. This is the narrative you see. Before someone has even watched a single episode, they are primed for confirmation of what they have seen across social media. Not because they're weak, but just because of how human psychology works, thanks to negativity and confirmation bias. Whether we like to admit it or not, we are influenced by the environment around us. And today, that environment is louder, faster, and much more emotionally charged than it has ever been before. That being said, there are valid criticisms of all Star Trek shows, including Starfleet Academy. And art deserves to be examined critically and, most importantly, honestly. However, there is a huge difference between criticism and outrage for engagement. Criticism is analytical. It takes points and explains why they don't work without resorting to buzzwords and personal attacks. One seeks understanding, the other seeks reaction. Look, I'm not telling you that you have to like Starfleet Academy or Discovery or Enterprise. And, well, actually, you definitely don't have to like Section 31. I think that might be the only entry into Star Trek that fans almost universally agree on. Your opinion of any aspect of Star Trek should be based on your own personal connection to it. Not because an outrage merchant on YouTube has told you to be angry about it. There is so much Star Trek, there is something for everyone. Some of it you will love, and some of it you won't. And either way, that's okay, but the decision should be yours and yours alone. At its core, Star Trek is curious, fearless of the future and the unknown, and willing to embrace that which it doesn't understand. And Star Trek is accepting. Infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Just because something isn't for you doesn't mean it isn't for someone else. And just because someone doesn't like something you enjoy, it doesn't make them a hater. All opinions can exist equally. What can you do? Well, what can we do? Before you watch something new, disconnect from the online noise. Allow yourself to discover it free from outside influence. And once you've formed your own opinion, find people to discuss it with. Ignore those who try to dictate what your opinion should be. If you have criticisms, have them, but try to understand where they come from. And it's okay not to enjoy something. Equally, it's also okay to enjoy something others don't. Someone not sharing the same opinion as you is not a personal attack. It's simply a difference of perspective. And through well-meaning conversation, you may come to see something in a way you hadn't even considered before. You also have the option to not share your opinion at all. Not every thought needs to be broadcast. But if you do choose to share, and it is a choice, be prepared for disagreement. And also remember, you actually don't owe anyone an explanation for how something made you feel. Most importantly, though, give stories a fair chance. Watch at least 3 episodes. Let them find their footing. And if it's still not for you, that's okay. You don't have to suffer through something you do not enjoy. You can always come back to it later, or you can move on. Because that choice is yours. And remember, once upon a time, Star Trek The Next Generation was supposed to be the death of Star Trek. Almost 40 years later, we're still talking about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to go a little bit deeper into sort of what's been going on with Starfleet Academy and the backlash to it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like the video, please feel free to give it a like and a subscribe. I'm working towards 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I would love to have you on board. Thanks for watching.